PTSD, complex PTSD, and delving deep into the subconscious mind by understanding not only the psychological component of that, but also the possibility for spiritual warfare to also be taking place as we experience these symptoms. This is Jasira, the spiritual samurai, and I myself am a diagnosed complex PTSD. When I came to the knowledge of this Cptsd, I was very much relieved because I knew that there was something going on, and it explained all the panic attacks I've had, the nightmares, the flashbacks, the whole list, that I've had going on for years, including some other medical issues that is connected to that. And so, very strange indeed, actually. And it has inspired me to delve deeper into how deep does Cptsd go? Because I really don't think it's just psychological. When you think of psychology, when you think of, okay, so the psychological part is like, really, this like, the terms are secular ways of describing things that go on in the human experience. So basically, PTSD is something that you get when you go through traumatic experiences, right? And what happens in the physical realm is now imprinted into your subconscious mind. It becomes a part of you. And depending on how you react to it, you become whatever that is, right? People turn out differently depending on how they react to these traumas, right? But the thing is, though, it starts off by being abused, right? Being traumatized in the physical realm. And then it's like it penetrates through your spirit. It really is. It becomes embedded within you to the point where you cannot erase this memory unless it's been blocked out. But even then, the nightmares will remind you of bits and pieces of what happened. And then you get hit with those flashbacks or those thoughts that just like, where the hell did that come from, right? Certain things that may trigger it. You also become very hypersensitive and hypervigilant to where now you're like, okay, anything that reminds you of that, it's like you're just ready. Like the fight or flight mode is almost like damn near a sixth sense at this point. Now, whatever happened in the physical realm that was traumatic to you has now it now has been imprinted into you. And so now you're being tormented psychologically by that, And then that can cause a lot of issues with brain chemistry and also the way that your brain is molded over time. That's why when traumatic experiences happen at an early age, it can be very, it could really, really destroy you, because you're given the shittiest foundation to start. And now you're left to put the pieces together with lack of little to no resources or support of any sort. And I say all that to say, well, hey, although I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a doctor or what have you, but I am somebody that is an independent thinker, and I am a self-taught student, and I'm also studying neuroscience, and I'm into metaphysics and spirituality, and I want to get to like the deepest, I want to get to the bottom of all this and how we can mold the brain and rewire it to where we no longer allow trauma to take over our life. That's really the goal here. I explore these topics and I just talk about it right now, just an idea to put out there that, what this is. And I feel like CPTSD, it could sense like, because when I read about CPTSD and then I read about spiritual warfare and I think about the experiences I've had in the past, it just sounds so similar to me. There's like overlapping concepts and stuff like that. So, for example, the nightmares, that's a big one. The nightmares. Let me give you an example. All right, here's an example. So, when I was a kid, right, say about 8 years old, there was a soulless one. It was an older male relative that tried to strangulate me. And so my mind remembers this experience, and so now, years after that, when I was in my teens, I would have reoccurring dreams about being choked by a dark shadow, and then I read about spiritual warfare, and then it's talking about how the shadow spirit, the sleep paralysis demon, how it appears like a long shadow, and then you feel hands wrapped around your neck, and it's choking the life out of you. It's trying to take the breath out of you, and I've had instances ever since my teens all the way until my early 20s. Not so much right now because I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the spiritual evolution. I wouldn't say it's stopped. Sometimes I do get attacked, but it's not as frequent as it was before. It was more frequent when I was in a dark place because my energy was lower, and I was very much unhealed. But since I've spent the past 12 years doing a lot of cathartic journaling, writing, the writing served to be powerful in my journey, and really I started implementing fasting since 2016. It's like, this is a process for the past 12 years of healing and growing spiritually and trying to learn as much as I can. And I didn't have all the answers because I didn't always know about spiritual warfare. So that's why I share this with you all who can, who's going through this, so that I can give you an idea, hey, of what's going on and what to do. So that being said, I would read about spiritual warfare and it's talking kind of the same thing. See how it overlaps? And you would think on a psychological perspective, it's, the trauma is causing you to have these nightmares because the mind never forgets. The subconscious mind will always remind you of that. And it could be some disturbing. That's just one incident out of many that I've experienced. So, and for you too, like, you probably experience a lot of things that is traumatic, and then it resurfaces into your nightmares. And then, like I said, the choking part is just an example. Maybe you have dreams you're getting beat, or maybe you're having the RAPE dreams, I've had those. So it's just like, it's crazy, man, especially the RAPE type dreams. I can't say that word, the algorithm, but those dreams, I already mentioned that in another video. But going back to the choking part, that was something that even there was times when this was trippy. When I was in my teens and I had those sleep paralysis episodes nearly every night almost. Sometimes I would have a nightmare and then, okay, there's this shadow figure choking me. Then I would wake up. And then when I wake up, I still see the shadow like hovering above me. And I could see like the hands wrapped around my neck, right? And you could feel the heaviness. In Spanish, we call it cuando se te sube la muerte. That means when death lays on top of you. That's what that means, right? And I'll never forget some of these instances. It's almost like they're trying to suck the breath out of you. Like, there was instances where I literally felt like it was like an abyss. Like, the darkness was not only choking me, but it was like it was sucking the breath out of me. And it was so weird because I couldn't open my mouth. So I'm like, how are they stealing my breath if my mouth is closed? Because this is spiritual. They're trying to suck the essence out of you, the life force that lives inside you, right? That just proves that the breath is the spirit of life, you know? So all of this is connected, you know? And so, like I said, trauma, the devil uses your traumatic experiences to create these triggers in you, to it's kind of like giving the devil material to work with, you know, because he understands that the most painful experiences can break a human down. And that's what so in this human experience, we're suffering, right? We're suffering. And then the devil uses our traumas against us, just like the narcissists and the soulless ones. They use our pain against us in such vicious and cruel ways. That's just how they are, you know? And understand that a snake will always be a snake. So don't even think about allowing people like that back into your life after they've abused you, you know? So forget all that, you know? I know that people try to tell you, oh, well, that was a long time ago. Hey, are you gonna allow somebody that was choking on you to come back into your life like nothing happened? Hell no. That's just an example. But people are stupid and they don't understand how, I don't know, man. I just don't think people really have common sense sometimes. But anyway, so you go through all these experiences that are traumatic, and these are like buttons. These are curse marks that the devil implants onto us so he can activate our depression, our anger. It's almost like we're under his control. And honestly, it's justifiable because we have every right to be angry. You know, we do. We have every right to be angry, pissed off, don't want to be bothered, and things like that. We have every right to feel these things because we went through, you know, you go through an injustice, of course. But the thing is, the devil is using these normal emotions against us so that we can work against ourselves and start becoming self-destructive in the process, you know? So we have to make sure that we direct these emotions at the right target, right? So, but that's a whole nother thing. But here, so now the key is, since this pain and trauma is implanted into our subconscious mind, now we have to find a way to control our subconscious mind. How do we gain control of what is in store within our psyche? You see, and this is the hard part. This is the tricky part. How do we gain control of the subconscious mind? Well, our dreams and nightmares is a reflection of what's going on in our mind. I would like to look at the subconscious mind like it's like a movie theater, right? And you know, when you think of a movie theater, it plays movies that are relevant to that era, you know? And movie trends change over time, right? So since that's the case, imagine if your subconscious mind is a movie theater and it's going through an era of a very dark depression. It's going through war. Maybe you're going through times of war, you know? So what type of movies are going to be playing? It's going to be a lot of war, a lot of crazy stuff, right? Depressing. And that's normal, you know? There's no judgment on that because you have to feel these emotions, unfortunately, even the negative ones. But then also over time, as eras change and as we evolve, you start to notice that the trend in movies starts to change. Now you're going to see more, maybe there's some more action movies. Maybe there's movies like superhero movies where you now get to, you know, change the script and how you want things to play out in your life. Now you're going to be the one kicking ass behind that screen because now you're taking control of your mind. You know, now you become who you're supposed to be. And that's when you unlock the power of the mind. So you started off with like I said, the more that's when when you're on a low vibration, your subconscious mind is gonna absorb that. It's gonna absorb everything that you feel, everything you see, and it combines all of that along with the traumas and everything that you've ever witnessed or experienced. It's gonna be locked in there. But once you start to invest into yourself, and, start to learn how to master self-healing, you start to grow spiritually and learn a lot of different things, like psychology, metaphysics, and spirituality. All these different things, you will notice a shift. Also pay attention to your dreams. In my case, I record my dreams. I write it down. Especially, maybe not all dreams. Some dreams are kind of irrelevant. You know what I mean? You have those stupid dreams. But if you have a dream that's very vivid, you gotta start writing it down, because that's teaching your brain to remember these dreams, especially when they're important to you and it's relevant. It has some type of symbolism behind it that can help you heal or help you understand yourself better. And so over time, as you grow, as you heal, as your energy increases and you start to become, your energy is a lot higher, you'll notice that the type of dreams you're having, you're going to start to have a little bit, it's going to change eventually. That's not to say that you're going to just stop having nightmares altogether, but the amount of nightmares that you have is going to reduce. It's going to be less. It's going to be less frequent. And when you do have nightmares, you're going to basically come in the form of like your own, you're going to have like superpowers in your dreams. You might see your enemy, you might see your abuser in the dream, but you're going to know how to defeat them now, because now you have evolved. And I know, because I had, for the past 2 years, I started having dreams that I was, beating the living out of one of my abusers. So, and this is the same abuser that I used to have reoccurring dreams 10, 12 years ago, that he was hunting me down, trying to delete me, because basically because I don't want to be abused. Basically, these people get mad at us because we refuse to be abused. We refuse to keep all this silent. We refuse to, to just act like none of this happened. Like, no, we're not going to act like nothing happened. What happened. It's going to be exposed. And we don't care, because this is the truth. We're not living a lie. We're not going to allow scumbags to thrive. Of course not. So with that being said, like I said, your dreams will start to shift. You might be in a dark place right now, but I'm telling you that over time, as you invest into your healing, you're going to notice differences. And hey, sometimes you're going to have disturbing dreams, but it's going to start to decrease the more your vibration becomes higher and higher. And that comes through spiritual and personal growth. So that's how you do that. And I do recommend writing, cathartic writing, which is when you write about, your triggers, write about this is like a very personal thing to write. So write down these things when you have these thoughts or triggers, right? If you have PTSD like myself, and over time, you're gonna see like it's gonna be like it's just purging out all of the pain that you have inside you. Whatever you're feeling, you just write down how you feel, and it might piss you off in the beginning, because I know it did for me. But I'm telling you that you get into that, eventually you're gonna venture off into other ways of healing. You're going to learn more about yourself. Your dreams will evolve. And like I said, the subconscious mind is like a movie theater. You're going to go from playing the Great Depression and World War in your brain and all these tragedies and crazy stuff going on. But you go from that to, as time goes by, as you're healing, now you're having action-packed movies where you're the spiritual shinobi and you're just defeating all the evil, because the evil ain't going nowhere. That's the thing. The demons are going to keep attacking. But what changes is you. What changes is you evolve. what changes is you start to attain the spiritual gifts that Yeshua was talking about. And now you become powerful. Now you become a force to be reckoned with. And of course, as you make this change, as you grow, in the beginning, you're going to be a threat to the devil, because the devil doesn't want you to be powerful. Of course not. So it's going to be hard in the beginning. Spiritual warfare is always the hardest in the beginning stages of, believing in the Most High and growing spiritually. And also when you start to decide, you know what, I'm going to make a change. No more of this, no more of this getting drunk or whatever you got going on. You decide you want to live your life clean. The moment you decide to do that, the devil is gonna go crazy, because he's losing you, and he doesn't want. Now you become a part of God's army. Oh yeah, and don't let you be a warrior. Once you find out you're a spiritual warrior, spiritual samurai or shinobi, then the devil really doesn't want to lose you. That's why he attacks a lot. But when you get to that point, you remain consistent on your growth and investing into yourself and really learning these subjects and really getting into spiritual knowledge and getting closer to God. I'm telling you, eventually you get to a point where everything becomes so easy to see, and the devil can't fool you anymore. And you no longer fear the devil, because, to be honest, you have nothing to fear when you have God with you, because the power of God is like above all. There's nothing that can stop that. The reason why it feels like you're not, the reason why it feels like you're being stopped is because our vessel has a lot of work to do, and we have to continue to create a strong vessel to where it is impenetrable by the darkness. That doesn't mean you're not going to see darkness. Doesn't mean that you'll stop seeing the demons. It's just that it's not going to affect you as much. The same way, like when you do EMDR therapy, you see how EMDR, they say you're not going to forget about the traumas, but you're going to change the way you react to it. Because now you get to a point where you're going to be detached from the pain that it once gave you, to where it no longer has control over you anymore. And that is the goal of EMDR. So like I said, you're not going to stop seeing demons. You're not going to forget about what you've been through or whatever, but it's going to change the way you perceive these attacks and these challenges. It's not going to have any effect on you, basically. And that's the whole point of this. That's the whole point of this whole human experience. As much as it pisses us off, as much as we hate even thinking about it sometimes, that's the information that came to me recently, right? And I used to get mad about these, having to go through these things. Like, I was the same type of person that was like tired of this, because any human being will be tired of a life, especially when you have Cptsd. But I'm telling you right now that once you get to that point, it's not going to have much of an effect on you. You get to a point where now it's like, you're a fucking warrior, you're fucking, you might as well. I know for me, I might as well be a spiritual samurai, because we're just not going to let this defeat us. It's just not, So, and again, much respect to the fallen soldiers, the spiritual soldiers. And what I mean by fallen, I mean the spiritual soldiers who were once on this earth spreading light, but they ended up falling by their own sword. And, whether or not they were online or offline, it doesn't matter. I want to send a special, rest in peace to all of the spiritual soldiers that were unable to make it through their journey because they decided to fall by their own sword because of how exhausted they are with life. And I absolutely, understand that right there. And of course, we don't want to fall into that either. We don't want to do that, because now what's going to happen next? I can't really, I'm not sure. I got to think about that. But what I will say is that I feel for them because I have dreams about certain situations that pertain to different individuals that I may or may not know. And one of them has to do with those who fall by their own sword. What does that mean? When people off themselves, basically, because it's been too hard. They've taken too many hits, and like I said, I when I pray that they go to a better place, that they do because I know some people say, oh no, they're gonna go here, hey, look, man, I just hope that they get the peace that they wanted, because that's the reason why they did it. And I feel for them, I really do, with compassion, I do. So with that being said, I hope that this video has helped, or any of you that resonate with these experiences. Again, this is just 25 minutes, and this subject is very complex, so there will be more videos coming up similar to this concept of the whole putting together psychology and metaphysics to gain a better understanding on how we can heal and how these things come about. Again, I'm not a psychologist. I don't have but I am a student. I'm learning, always learning every day. And not only learning worldly subjects like psychology, but also spirituality, metaphysics, and trying to put things together to have a better understanding so that we can heal at an accelerated rate and become much higher version of ourselves and really reach high levels of potential and helping other people understand themselves so that they themselves can also elevate and grow. And with that being said, I thank you for listening, and God bless.